were a deep start, wasn't it? Jesus.
That's it, man.
That's how we roll.
That's how we've always been. You'll be like shocked by that. Oh God, we're talking about deep things about life and health. That's what we do, Dan.
One of my clients, bless her, she had a bit of an unlucky run towards the end of the year. Got COVID, got quite sick with it. She's an older lady. She reached out to me and she said, Dan, if it wasn't for my fitness, I think I'd have died.
Wow.
Now, that's why I'm here, mate.
The quick win comes from you haven't dealt with the root. Your mental and emotional health needs work way before we even get in the gym a lot of the time.
Am I making sense?
To me, yeah, I think it's a great analogy. And I've not heard it described that way before.
I just winged that.
Well done.
Ethylene oxide isn't great.
To be sticking up your nose and in your throat.
You don't want to be putting that in your body too much. Let me
Okay.
put it like that.
Can we just... Because I know there's literally people now, like, rewind and listen to that again. What? Don't do cardio? Welcome back to the Rich in Success podcast, the show that brings you motivation, education, and inspiration on how you can live a happier, healthier, more successful, and more fulfilling life. Today, I have got fellow co-founder of Rich in Success and my cousin, Dan Ramsden, back on the show. It was a pleasure to get Dan back. Of course, Dan is a fitness and nutrition expert, although he doesn't like being called that because he's an ever-evolving man that never feels he'll be an expert. But in my book, he is an expert. There's very little that this man doesn't know. And as it is the whole kind of season for New Year, New Me, I know that a lot of people are setting New Year's resolutions right now. And one of the biggest resolutions for many people is that they want to lose the body fat. This episode, we're going to talk about not only how to lose that body fat, but importantly, how to keep that body fat gone forever. And it's a really, really fascinating conversation, I think, because obviously Dan used to run this show with me. He came on the show about 7 months ago again. One thing that I was mindful of is to not just go over old ground and actually to cover some different things to keep it valuable for regular listeners. So as well as really, I feel going into the core foundations, the basics, the important things you need to know when it comes to fat loss, we also covered a range of different important subjects. And we also spoke about some of his opinions as a health expert when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to protecting your health against coronavirus. So I think this is an important episode. I want to say thank you as always for being here, and I really hope you find this an insightful and a helpful and of course a useful episode of the podcast. So without further ado, please enjoy episode 158. This is How to Lose Fat Forever with health expert Dan Ramsden. And just before we dive straight into today's Rich in Success podcast episode, I wanted to share with you what becoming a Rich in Success member could actually do for your life. Now, if you're somebody that is at a point where you're serious about positive change, whether that be in your health, your well-being, your mindset, your business, your career, your finances, or your relationships, the Rich in Success membership is perfect for you. For just £39 a month, you get access to over 40 training videos where I'll be taking you through everything from goal setting. We'll be looking at high performance habits. We'll be looking at different changes you can make to your mindset and your attitude that are going to be able to propel you to have more success in every single area of your life. And in addition to these training videos, every month, you will get a live group coaching call with me where you can ask me any questions about the content or about things that you're going through in your life so that I can help you personally as your coach. And as well as that, there will be exclusive bonus interviews with experts in a variety of fields. I'm bringing together the best minds, the best experts from all around the world to give you access to the very best content to help you move forward in your life. All this for just £39 a month, reoccurring subscription that you can cancel at any time. To become a Rich in Success member today, please click the link below or head on over to richinsuccess.com where you can sign up there, and I will look forward to seeing you in the exclusive members area very soon. So, first official guest of 2022. It made sense, really. We got to get the co-founder on.
Might as well.
And it would have been the wrong decision. Nobody else to start 2022, which is of course going to be our best year because we're going to get on the hype. New year, new me. 2022 is the best year ever. So I had to start with you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Matthew.
We've already done this off camera, so we just do it for the benefit of everyone else. How are you doing?
In what sense are we talking?
Life
sense, everything. My garden is quite pure right now. I'm looking after it.
Yeah.
All elements of it are well watered and nourished, and some bits that have died are coming back and are starting to blossom, and I feel good.
And I can tell as well, I can really tell, you're in a really good space, you're chilled, but you're not chilled in the sense where in the past I've thought you're just low energy because you're so beaten down by life right now.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this has been an ongoing thing. When we were starting Rich in Success, that was a big part, wasn't it? It was like we were trying to start something new, but managing life at one of the biggest times for you.
On reflection of all that, I honestly don't know how I did it. It gave me a purpose for sure, and I felt like the objective were miles bigger than me, which were good because it made me really accountable to do it. But equally, in all of that, I honestly don't know now on reflection how I managed to do it. I don't know what I was running on. Because I was very stressed out, and as you know, behind the scenes, you know, we didn't vocalize all that stuff. But yeah, it takes a toll on you for sure, and there's no wonder we couldn't keep it going together as a partnership. You know what I mean? I
actually think as well, though, reflecting on it, there's kind of two things that I think would have helped. Is one, it gives you, like you said there, it is that thing of it's a purpose bigger than just dwelling on I'm struggling and I've got a lot on. It's like it doesn't matter. I've got shit to do. Yeah. I haven't got time to focus, and sometimes when we focus on the feeling, we just making it be prolonged.
Yeah.
You didn't have time. You got to focus on action. And I think the other thing is doing this kind of work. And I want to say this to anyone that wants to build a brand, or maybe is interested in the coaching space and the sort of things that we do. It's like some of it can be therapy for you. Like actually giving good to others and putting yourself in a position to reflect on not only the problems but the solutions so you can help others. That's like your own therapy, and it helps with your own process. So, and the reason I say that is surface level looking at it, it's kind of like you had a million things to do and you were trying to help others. That's madness. So most people would never do it. They think it's too much, I can't. But actually, you help yourself in helping others sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's levels to everything, though, isn't there?
Like
that's
the other side, right?
And it can start crossing the line where it will like I've got so much of my own shit that I need to sort out, and I'm not addressing them, and I'm actually spending more time on looking at other people's things,
sorting their shit before your own,
looking at my own, and I'm like, is that? Yeah. So I had to like go inward a little bit and think, well, is this a self-esteem thing? Is this a self-worth thing? Do I not think I'm worthy of my own happiness? And I had to sort myself out.
What was the answer to that?
Yeah, I didn't have that.
You didn't have the self-worth.
I didn't. Yeah, on reflection, I was like, it probably was that. I didn't feel like I deserved it. Do you know? And you can get. And God, that's opening a can of worms. You know what I mean? Like we could even just
spend the fucking
can. we could spend the whole podcast talking about that in itself.
What's the main thing you learned? If you was to, I know that's a hard question. It is a complex question, but if you used to look at that and go the self-worth thing, what's the main thing you learned? Why was it lacking, and how did you overcome it?
Why? Previous, I wouldn't say traumas, but feelings and things that I'd experienced from being a kid, all the way through we always end up an adult child in some way.
Oh, we're still babies, all of us.
We've all got inner children, we play and we tell silly jokes and we act like dickheads sometimes and
get it wrong. We don't know all the answers.
Yeah, and that is life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So part of it would definitely come down to previous experiences in life that led me. You can pigeonhole yourself in a way of being. Like, for example, I'm gonna fail this exam because I'm not intelligent.
That's an identity now. Boom.
Based on previous things that you've felt or thought of, or somebody might have said to you in a situation where you needed to use intelligence. You're stupid. Are you thick? And then you go boom, and then you latch onto that feeling.
Yeah.
And then it kind of becomes part of your. It's yours, but it ain't yours. But you make it yours.
It's what we call a limiting belief, right? You've now created that belief to feel real. It's not a belief. It's not a fact. Sorry, it is a belief.
Yeah, and it's a belief that's stemmed from something, and this is why I've always said it. Go do some therapy.
Yep.
Like go spend
some questions.
Go spend some time on yourself.
Yep.
Ask yourself some questions. Like why did I do that? Sometimes when you might do a business transaction or something, and you end up bending over backwards for somebody, for example, and it's like, and then you think, why did I do that? I've just sold myself short again. I just said that I'd do that when it's actually near as damn impossible for me to do that. I'm making my life hard work. Why did I do that?
Some level, was it insecurity, lack of self-belief? I don't believe I'm good enough. I'm not deserving of it.
All that. So then go and have a word with yourself on that then. Where's it come from? Why do you have all that? And that's what I had to do. I had to go away and think, what was that about?
So ultimately, take time to ask better questions
of yourself, and
you'll get better answers.
But I'd probably suggest that you did it in a therapy space where you feel safe to do it.
Yeah, and you've got someone to guide you professionally
who knows what to do, and they're not there to be your friend. They're there to help you unravel yourself.
Yeah, you've got to unravel it, but they'll support you in doing that.
Yeah, but they won't do it for you.
Yeah.
They won't give you they won't ask you questions that are there for you to just answer in the moment. You've got to ask yourself the question so that then you come up with your own answer. It's complex. That were a deep start, wasn't it? Jesus.
That's it, man.
That's how we roll.
That's how we've always been. Don't be like shocked by that. Oh God, we're talking about deep things about life and health. That's what we do, Dan. You said just before you don't like to be referred to as an expert, because you believe you're forever evolving, and you'll never be an expert because we can always learn more. However, I believe Dan is an expert when it comes to, in particular, fitness and nutrition. So
thank you.
This episode, I really want to go deep into some of the fitness and nutrition topics, and I want to start with New Year, New Me hype. And I think what would you say are some of the main things people do wrong when it comes to wanting to, whether it be, I mean, generally it's going to be lose body fat, right? That's generally we put on a bit of weight over Christmas, we then feel guilt around it, and then we're like, this is my year to sort it out forever. And we know statistically around 80% of people that set New Year's resolutions, and they're just the people who set it. Most people don't set them, by the way, but those that do it, 80% fail. If you were to give just a few tips on identifying where they're going wrong and how to steer them in a better direction, what would you say?
I would say calm yourself.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah, calm down. You have got all year to sort this out and the rest of your life. It's not a 6-week thing. It's not a 12-week thing. It's not a perfect scenario thing. There is no perfect training protocol or perfect nutritional protocol out there for you that will be sustainable for the rest of your life. So then, how do we figure your game out? And you've got to, again, just calm your passions. Don't go out there and jump into 10 landmines and blow yourself up in the first 2 weeks.
Definitely done that. I've definitely been in them landmines. You can vouch for that. I've done a few landmines jumping.
What you're better off doing is having a look at the field from a different vantage point and thinking, oh, right then, there's a few landmines over there. and it looks quite clear at that side, I'll go that way. And I know that sounds like a bit of a, a deep analogy to look at it, but first of all, calm your passions down and try and figure out what's best for you and your lifestyle. Now, there's two ways of looking at it. It depends what kind of person you are. Are you a hare? Are you a rabbit mentality? Do you, when you do things, do you do it hardcore? Do you go all in? And do you do that for a short period of time?
Yes, I do, Dan, and you know this.
Are you a sprinter?
Yeah.
And you like the grind, but the grind has to come to an end at some point. And we know that.
Yep.
We know there's a deadline on the grind, right? If you're that kind of person, then you need to be a bit more of a tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to just chill out a bit and figure out a long-term solution. So don't think about 6 weeks, think about 6 months.
Got you.
Think about 6 years. Think about the body that you have to live in for the rest of your life, right? Start thinking like that, if that's your kind of mentality. If you are a tortoise by trade and you have a very relaxed approach, and it's I'll do it tomorrow, you put things off, that kind of thing. I'm happy just to dip my toe in, and right. Well, I'm talking to you now. Then you need a bit of a rocket up your ass. You need a kick. You need a bit more of a hare mentality.
Yeah.
You need to set a deadline and then put your foot on it and go. So it depends who you are.
So it comes back to what you said in the first bit. It's about looking within, identifying character traits,
Yep.
and rather than just seeing it as a bad thing and going victim mentality, well, that's how I am, I can't change it. Start to work, how can I start to transition in being closer to the other, or bring in other aspects, I guess, of, whether it's the tortoise, be more hare-like, the hare needs to be a little more tortoise-like. So I think that's the first thing, looking within, identity. And then the second thing, I think it comes back to that happiness being a destination thing. People generally, when it comes to fitness, they think they can do the 6-week course, or the 4 weeks to 4 weeks courses or whatever. And it's like, then I'll just be fit and healthy for the rest of my life. They're not actually having the broader perspective on this needs to be a sustainable lifestyle that will adapt and evolve over time, but also it won't come overnight either. And I think that's the first thing. Shift what you're looking at. How often, how quickly do you expect to get results? And then what do you think is going to happen after?
Exactly that. Have you addressed your long-term behaviours? Have you had a look into those? Have you got some kind of addiction problem to caffeine, alcohol, drugs, sugar?
Food. All of the above, by the way. Are we doing all of the above? But it's been addressed, and I'm aware of it, and we've worked on it.
But I still like it.
But it's still good in moderation. I think as well, it's something we spoke about a lot. Is it's understanding your reasons why. And I know as a coach, you find a lot of people they've just surface level kind of thought about why they want to do it. Well, I just want to, be better for my holiday, my bikini.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I won't work for people like that. If they come to me with the view of I'm going on a stag do or a hen do, I'm going to Marbs in 6 weeks. I want to be in best shape of my life. See ya.
Not the coach.
No disrespect.
No.
Like, I'm not going to be that abrupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to work with that. What are you going to do when you get there? If you get in the best shape of your life, right, well, what does that mean to you? You got in the best shape of your life when you got on a bodybuilding stage. So, was that your healthiest version of you?
One of the unhealthiest.
Oh, interesting.
And one of the unhappiest.
Okay, then.
And I guess what you're saying is it's tough love. You're not saying you won't work with them. You're saying you're not ready to work with me yet. So go through your process. Realize, like what we're talking about with me with the bodybuilding comp. Realize that's not where it lies. And then now you realize it's a long-term sustainable lifestyle. We can work together. It's
like the famous quote that Jim Carrey said, I hope you all get your hopes and dreams to realize that it's not the answer.
One of my favorite quotes.
I've had the banging abs and all that and looking optimal, strong, lean,
yeah,
attractive, If that's what
Oi,
you want.
oi.
No, but it's true. Like, it's attractive to people, isn't it? Do you know, like, if you've got a muscular, toned physique, it's attractive to people. Well, I was in a very pickled mindset, and I wasn't all round healthy, in a lot of ways. So what
And
I'm
it becomes
saying
disruptive because you
100%, 'cause your behaviours
focus more on external. I need to get more
Yeah,
abs,
yeah.
more abs to be happier, and it doesn't give you it.
No, it's not, and you've got to look at all the other stuff, and
Yeah.
and all the other stuff is there's a lot more to it. It's health. We're talking about health. We're talking about longevity. We're talking about the body that you're carrying for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So you've got to be in the right mindset in order to okay, well go get your abs then, right? I'll teach you how. But in this process of doing this, you must understand that when you get there, you're not going to necessarily feel happy about yourself. If you've still got hang-ups, then you need to go deal with those as well. I can help with that, but I'm not a trained counsellor, although I have started a mental health course now.
Yeah.
But I'm not fully qualified in that realm. And equally, my role is to get you fitter, stronger, more functional, more flexible, so you're physically on point. I can't do that with you until your mindset is in the right place.
Yeah.
But it's got to be there for longevity. It's not 6 weeks. It's not 12 weeks. We have to put a time cap on things too. You know, like if you were to purchase a course, then my elite training package is 12 weeks. But within that time, we're always talking about the long game.
Yeah. We're not just
It's
saying
free-
12
it's-
weeks, well done, certificate, off you go.
Yeah, it's 3 months.
Now eat
of
the burgers.
work,
Yeah.
and then we hit the deadlines that you've set for yourself, and then it's like, okay, then so where do we go from here? It doesn't necessarily have to be with me, but it's always something where it's forward thinking about a long-term solution for you.
A lot of it's going to be just building foundations that you then build on for the rest of your life, and they set you up for the rest of your life if you do it the right way. I want to do some myth busting.
Okay.
I know this time of year in particular, fat loss is one of the biggest things you'll be helping people achieve, because, like we say, it is that thing that predominantly a lot of people struggle with, and that's why they come to a fitness expert. What are the biggest myths around how to lose fat? When we're talking about diet-wise, diet protocols, when we're talking about training, best way to train for fat loss. And the reason I ask this question is because I know through working with you that increasing your fitness and stamina, losing fat loss, building muscle, they all just sound like generally, just that's what I want to do, PT, help me. But actually they can be very, very different in terms of how to train, the style of training, the intensity of training, the sort of diet and so on. So if the goal is fat loss, what are some of the do's and don'ts and the things myth busting wise that we need to bust?
The do's are get quite regimented, get a routine in place, because it's important to understand your current metabolism. Your current metabolism's compromised over what you've sort of been doing over the last month, in terms of everything down to the amount of steps that you do a day, to the training sessions that you do, the style of training sessions, for the duration that you do it, and then the food that you consume, or should I say calories, because they may come in different forms, alcohol, cappuccinos, etc.
And just to go a bit further on that, for anyone that's literally brand new, when you say metabolism, what are we talking about? What is a metabolism?
It's the amount of fuel that your body requires on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So it's what to function your brain, to keep you alive, basically, to start off with, and then we can start looking at burning fat and building muscle.
So we're talking about stabilizing a metabolism when we're talking about getting into a routine.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what that means when we say we want to stabilize it.
So what I mean by that is understand what your body's sort of running off. So, you know, have you ever tracked your daily steps? Do you know on average how many steps you do a day? No. Okay. Do about 4 or 5 days worth, you know, do your weekday pattern and do your weekend pattern. What does that sort of look like? And then the steps that you do each day are contributing to your metabolism. If you increase your steps by 5,000 every day, you will by default eat more food. because your body's asking for it in return. In order to get fat loss, we have to manipulate that so that you are in a debt of energy and your calorie consumption is slightly less than the amount of calories that you're burning on average. There's a bit more complex than that, not to just isolate calories in, calories out. Let's say, for example, if you were to put 90% of the calories in were, not nourishing calories. It were still chocolates, it was still pizza, but you still stayed in a deficit, and you were eating more sort of unhealthy foods, junk foods, GMO foods, high salty foods, sugar, etc. Then your body's going to be under stress as a result of that, and that's one of the things that is really, really important for fat loss. You have to de-stress your body. You have to make sure that your body's running off what it actually wants you to put in. And then we can look at that. So, as I've always said, between 80 and 90% of the daily nutrition, and I mean daily, not Monday to Thursday. I'm on about daily. 80
7 days
to
a week,
90% of the daily nutrition that you put in has to be healthy foods. Don't matter what day it is. Don't matter if it's a bank holiday. Don't matter if it's Christmas Day.
Your body don't know.
Eat some healthy food.
Your metabolism's it's fine today. Yeah.
We don't eat Easter eggs just because it's Easter for breakfast. You know what I'm saying?
What's Easter?
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Please.
So you've got to identify that's a cultural kind of...
It's traditional, it's cultural, it could be down to your upbringing, all that stuff.
But your body ain't grateful for it.
No, it don't like it. So if you want fat loss, don't do that stuff. So that's
simple.
one thing. And then what I'd say is, in terms of what sort of protocols to go down, every protocol works, right?
So keto
and every
works.
protocol doesn't work too.
Yeah. Explain what you mean by that.
What do you think I mean by that?
Well, if you put yourself in a calorie deficit, you'll lose fat. There's many, many ways to do it, but really what you want to do is what's the healthy, sustainable, long-term way of doing it. And if you look at keto, basically that means never eat carbs. Well, if you can do that for the rest of your life, and that's going to keep your body fat low, crack on, my friend. But is that really true? That's what I would say. It's kind of like the protocol can work, but people are going back to what we said in some of the early discussion this episode. It's like you're not thinking long-term. You're thinking quick win.
Taught you well, mate.
Hey! Always puts me under pressure. Yeah.
No, but we've had these conversations.
Correct,
and you're finding your route. You've been down extreme routes and you've done different protocols. What did you learn in between all that? And it's like, I'll take pieces of it.
Yeah.
And I'll make it work and I'll manipulate it based on the here and now, based on what I want from the results and where I'm going with my training now. I optimize my training and my life, ultimately.
Yeah.
I think it's about coming down to what's my purpose?
Yeah.
I know this again. Like, let's go deep, guys. Like, why am I here? Why are you on this planet? And if you actually know that, then you can fuel your life with the right nutrition and the right training methods to facilitate the purpose that you're on this planet.
Yeah.
Well, whatever that means to you. Like, if you're... I've just been talking to an old client of mine who's an entrepreneur. He has he's a property investor. He's got over 400 properties in the UK. He's going to be moving to Dubai shortly. And he's got insane life goals. And he knows exactly why he wants to do it. His health will be compromised in that.
Yeah.
But he's okay with it.
Yeah.
Because he knows why he's here.
Yeah.
But what he does need is he needs a health mentor like me
to do the best he can
to be able to get there, because we've still got to look at the long game.
Of course.
So he understands that he needs somebody like me in his corner and to call him out when I see it going wrong.
Yeah, of course.
And it reins him back in. But he understands himself that his passion is not to be a spiritual health guru. Whereas for me, my purpose is to help as many people as I possibly can, impact them to make better life decisions for their health and their longevity. I'm not leaving out else behind. I'll spend my money. I don't know how much money I'll make. I don't know.
That's not your purpose.
It's no, and I will earn money in that process.
Mm.
Like, I have to, because that's my, I have kids to raise, and I've got wants and desires for my own life too.
Mhm.
So it does come with value. But equally, I haven't got a figure on that.
Yep.
I'm trying to impact people positively that'll help, flick their switch and make them do things better that serves their life in a healthier way.
Love it.
One of my clients, Judith, bless her, she had a bit of an unlucky run towards the end of the year. Got COVID, got quite sick with it. She's an older lady, and previous to working with her, she'd maybe spent 25, 30 years not working out, and she decided at 66 to take more control of her health and her lifestyle.
Brilliant.
And she reached out to me and she said, Dan, if it wasn't for my fitness, I think I'd have died.
Wow. Fuck.
Now,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here,
That's what your purpose is. And it comes back to what you said, ask better questions, ask better questions. Why? What's your purpose? What are you wanting to do? And then it's about marrying it all up. So your fitness, your training, your diet, your lifestyle, your career, your relationships, all as best as you can are aligned with that purpose. And you're not going too extreme on one.
Yeah. And you'll probably look good by default.
Correct. Because you're going to be happier, more content,
less stressed,
more clearer in who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. It all comes back to the basic principles time and time again with these conversations. When we go to fat loss and the training side, what is generally the optimum way to train for fat loss? And we've covered kind of more diet, really.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say for training?
Resistance.
What does that mean if someone's got no idea?
Put stress on your muscles, but not through excessive amounts of cardiovascular. Cardiovascular will make you fitter.
Can we just... Because I know there's literally people now, like, rewind and listen to that again. What? Don't do cardio? Genuinely, you know this. There's so many people go, right, I need to lose weight, and they hammer the HIIT sessions, they hammer the bike, they go on sprints, and then you tell them that, like, this is such a valuable moment if you take this in now.
Yeah. Well, so to go back to your journey, when you got on stage, you quite lean, weren't you?
Yeah.
Pretty lean,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Probably the leanest I've been.
Okay. And how much cardio did you do? HIIT sessions and whatnot?
0.
Oh.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I mean, this
What
is
do-
great.
what
Don't-
did you- what did
don't
you
be
do?
disempowered right now if you're like, whoa, like literally they were listening to this episode while sprinting on the treadmill. This is great because you're learning.
I'm not saying you didn't go on the treadmill or sit on a bike or do a cross trainer, but did you do it so that you were exerting maximum
No.
force doing cardiovascular sessions
No.
or doing 10k, 15k, 20k runs?
Never did that. Occasionally would every few weeks do the odd high intensity short workout to mix things up a little bit. But I think this comes back to what we said earlier about metabolism and stress on the body, doesn't it? And I think this is where it comes full circle. If you're listening now, hopefully it's starting to like click where people go wrong with fat loss. We talk about not having a stress metabolism, right? What happens when you're doing HIIT?
Yeah, I mean, it has to have a certain amount of stress on it, positive stress. What we don't want to do is we don't want to dwindle the resting metabolic rate. We don't want to pee all over that.
Yeah.
Imagine you've got luggage, right? And you've got a huge suitcase, right? That's your resting metabolic rate. Then you've got a little bit of hand luggage, and that's like your training. And then you've got a bigger bag like that you can wheel around, and that's your daily activity. So look at it like that. Now, do you want to reduce the size of your big suitcase to fit more clothes in? I mean, you don't really want to do that, do you? You want to protect that. So if you do loads of things that dwindle that metabolic rate, that big suitcase that can fit loads of luggage in it, that's a bad idea. So you need to have a lot of muscle mass. You need to have more muscle mass. There's a lot of muscles in the human body, right? So just isolating biceps and shoulders to look good in your tight and white t-shirt on a Friday night is not going to be a long-term success story for fat loss.
Nope.
You need to train your legs. You need to train your core. You need to train your back. The big muscles, they require a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You need to produce a lot of force in order to train them well.
Yeah.
Which is then contributing to your large suitcase, and you can fit more luggage in it. Luggage and clothing means food.
Yeah.
That's what your metabolic rate is. So we don't want to dwindle that. Am I making sense?
To me, yeah, I think it's a great analogy. And I've not heard it described that way before.
I just winged that.
Well done. I'm going to steal it. Clients,
Take
get ready.
it.
You'll be taught this tomorrow. I'm kidding. So I think that then makes me think of, in particular, I see less and less when it comes to females. I see less of them doing now your Zumbas. And, do you remember the workouts where you used to have an instructor at the front of the class doing like a dance routine and everything like that? That just barely exists now. They're more kind of like boot campy style stuff where you are picking up dumbbells and kettlebells and, pushing a sled round, whatever. Because I think, in particular, they were female-led, those kind of more Zumba-y, dancey classes. But now females, in particular, recognise more and more exactly what you said about the suitcase analogy, that in order to lose body fat, if we can strengthen ourselves, if we can work on muscle and like you said, resistance training, that's actually going to be the best way to do it.
Yeah, correct.
So if anybody now is listening to this and they've been, hounding the cardio, remember, high intensity is predominantly going to be great for, as Dan said, increasing fitness, i.e. stamina. So you're going to be fitter, you're going to be able to move for longer, quicker, whatever. So that's great for fitness. But if the goal is fat loss, it's not the optimum way to train. And this is why I wanted to ask that for Dan today, because there's a lot of confusion. And then what that creates is frustration. Well, I've been flogging myself. I've been working so hard. I've been eating nothing.
Yeah, to know.
And I've not lost much weight.
The thing is about that as well is that overall they will have been eating a lot more than that they actually think they have. So they'll become a weekday dieter where they'll be under consuming calories and training very hard, sweating lots and doing hit sessions, etc., etc. And then when Friday comes, it's like, oh, let me escape from this and let me have a treat.
Mentally and physically exhausted, feel that they've earned the treat, and then it's overconsumed.
And then repeat a behavioural process that's hard to shake off. And it's like, I'm allowing myself to do this. I deserve this. We all deserve to give ourselves a treat, okay? But do you understand the treat that you're about to do? Do you understand that the calories that are in it? If it's an alcohol thing, then that ain't going to be good for your testosterone level. And yes, women, I'm talking to you as well. You do need an element of that. You need to save some of that because it's a fat burning and muscle building hormone. So it's very important that you don't dwindle it. We don't want them test levels to plummet, because then guess what? You just reduce that size of your suitcase again.
And of course, it's important to say, again, particularly to females, but in general, don't think that weight training leads to being looking like a massive bodybuilder. Putting on real size, muscular size takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and you've got to work hard, you've got to know what you're doing, and it takes years, right, to really build big muscle mass. Yeah, and also, most of the people you're looking at are on steroids.
It's a different.
Let's remember
realm.
that
it's a different realm altogether. Bodybuilding is about form, isolation, and relentless reps, and then increasing your calories tenfold in order for your muscles to grow, and then cutting again. If you're not behaving like that, then you won't get that. Don't worry about it, guys. You're not going to get that. You need to do that in order to get that. And are you prepared to do that? And you've got to be obsessed with it to be a bodybuilder. It's different. To be an athlete, you need to be functional. It's different.
Mobility, stamina.
Mobilize. Yeah. And there are elements of fitness to that. Oh, I like the sound of an athlete. So then we'll start behaving like an athlete. How do athletes move?
So to summarize, if the goal is fat loss, let's make this really clear. First and foremost, get clearer on why you want to do it, what your purpose is, and go deeper than just wanting to look good in a bikini, right?
Correct.
I know me and Dan look great in a bikini, right? But we know more than just the bikini. That's the first thing. Then understand it's about metabolism. It's about stabilizing. It's about having a good routine. And then you want to create a calorie deficit, but you want to do it focusing on how can I do it long-term sustainable for the rest of my life rather than short burst, a quick overnight win.
Only if we're talking about fat loss.
Yep.
And equally, there will come a point where we don't have to remain in a deficit.
Yep.
You've got to have diet breaks and you've got to actually intentionally put calories up so that you get a healthier metabolism. If you can maintain good aesthetics and a good body composition, and then your training intensity starts to get better, then you can consume more calories. You don't always have to think in a deficit mindset. It's a time and a place. You pick it up and then you park it again.
And deficit can be created by increasing activity, not just reducing food.
Correct.
Which is important.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fantastic point as well. And then when it comes to training, it's about just remembering fat loss is more resistance training is important. It's not necessarily doing lots of cardio, lots of high intensity cardio.
It's the foundation.
Yeah. And then when it comes to diet, ultimately, it's about 80%, 90% good nutritious food every single day. And if we're going for fat loss, it needs to be a deficit. I think we've kind of just, what I've tried to do and what I wanted to do is just break it down so people can listen to this episode time and time again and go, right, I'm going for a fat loss period again. What are the basics? Would you say that's covered them?
I would say so, yeah. Things can be a bit more complex per individual. There could be certain elements of food that you need to address. There might be certain...
So looking at intolerances, things like
sensitivities, what's irritating your gut, your microbiome, your digestive health is a huge factor in everything, really. It's our whole chemistry within our body is in our gut. So if that's disrupted, then you're not going to get the fat loss results that you want, regardless of what kind of calories are coming into it. So we need to then start to refine certain things that, okay, well, what's your diet made up of then? And then we can start going a bit deeper.
Okay, so something else I want to discuss is we are joined today by your incredible children.
Yes.
Louis and Poppy are watching from the side like, hello, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Obviously, parenting in general, one of the hardest jobs on earth. So I believe. I don't believe I've got any children out there, but if anyone wants to let me know, please do. And obviously, I think for you as a health expert, really protecting your children's health is obviously going to be high on your agenda. For people out there that are parents that are finding it hard, because you know what it's like. Children can be fussy eaters. Now we live in a world where there's more internet and more gaming than ever, whereas 30 years ago you'd have to go out and see your friends to play with them and actually get fresh air. What's some of the main advice you'd give to parents out there that are struggling to encourage children to have a healthy lifestyle?
Good question. It's, every person and every child is an individual, so some kids are just a bit more naturally outdoorsy, and some want to play out more, and some do want to participate in sport more, and some don't as much. But what I would say is just try your best to put a limitation on things. Allow them to be who they want to be, I would say, but equally, try to give them their own discipline, to let them choose as well, not to just point the finger and say, right, sometimes you've got to, but it's like, let them choose. So I often say to them, as in Louis and Poppy, who are sat right here, I'm pointing now, and if you're listening on audio, you won't know what I'm on about. But I will say, well, how much sugar have you had today? And do you think that's a good time to have that now? Before, an hour before bed?
So awareness and questioning rather than just telling.
Yeah.
Bring their awareness to the numbers and the data. So you're educating them.
Don't just tell them no.
Got you.
And because I said so. Because that'll just make them...
Well, that's the answer then, because I said so.
Rebel, I think, at some point. So if you let them choose, like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, for example, Louis asked me a few times, Dad, can I have a Lucozade? And I'm like, well, that's about 26 grams of sugar. I wouldn't have that in one hit unless I were training or if I were doing a sporting event.
Yep.
Do you think you should? Because my body's twice as big as yours.
And it gets them thinking then,
Yeah,
critical thinking, like we speak about. It's not
obviously
just...
I am trained and educated in this, so it's a lot more natural to me.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, if you are embarking on your own health and fitness journey, which I believe that everybody should be, then if you do get enough clout and enough knowledge yourself, then pass that on to your children. Help them show them the way. That's what I would say. And try put a limitation on it. Allow them to do things, but equally let them have a choice as well.
A question I'm always considering, and I think this ties on perfectly to looking at it as a parent, but also just anyone on a journey of trying in this world where we've got so much conflicting messages, we've got more stress, from things like WhatsApp and Facebook. We're constantly on all the time, a lot of us, and we want to be healthy. The question I'm always looking at is, how can we clearly identify the difference between knowing what we're doing and obsessing about what we're doing? Because some people might listen to that and be like, so you can't just have a drink of Lucozade without asking how many grams of sugar in it, and go, is that obsessive? What would you say is that perfect balance to know? Or I suppose a better question is, what are the sort of pointers and guidelines to then say, now we've tipped into obsession?
To put it bluntly, cover your ears, kids, but not to be a pedantic arsehole. Have the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Have it. It's yours. Choose what you want to do with that. Allow yourself to have it from time to time, but understand that it could have consequences to something that you would want. For example, I'm a bit tired today. I'll squeeze another coffee in. But it's 3:30, 4 o'clock. Right, well, I'm going to be wired all night if I do that. I don't know about some people, but that kind of caffeine going in my system at that time, there will be consequences. So I might have it. I might think, right, okay. And then I'll be laid in bed that night and I'm like, damn. So I played rugby last year. Yeah. Did a full season. And I loved it, by the way, to be back out there doing that every week.
You loved it, but you also realised your age, right?
I did.
You also realised you're not the 21-year-old rugby player anymore.
Yeah, I definitely did. I had to approach my training a little bit more gently, let's say. I was stretching more time than I was lifting, let's put it like that. But anyway, I did enjoy it nonetheless. But on that, the one particular night, we had an evening kick-off, and it was a 7:30 kick-off. And I'm on my way, I'm driving to Leeds, and I thought, I've had a long day, I've been up since 5, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to have a carb and caffeine drink. Now, I played the game, wired from playing the game, got knocked about all over that match as well. And then I was laid in bed that night and I was like, that was such a bad idea. I'm going to have to learn that one. I can't do that again. I'm just going to go with the carbs and not the caffeine. I knew what I was doing when I put it in. Yep. And I had that, I'm weighing it up. Yep.
Just went slightly the wrong way.
And I thought, okay. And that's the awareness. It's knowledge, and then it's having the awareness. And don't berate yourself and beat yourself up about it. If you make a mistake, let's say, like for me, that were a mistake. It affected my productivity the next day or two after that, because I felt really tired.
It's only a mistake if you've not learned from that.
An 80-minute game of rugby where it was quite a physical match. I'd been knocked around all over the place, which took a lot out of me physically. But then I didn't sleep that night either. We're a bad combo. Yeah. So I was like, right, I'm marking that one. I'm going to learn from it. So that's an example of it's all learning. You don't have to be obsessive about it. You just have to be relaxed and learn as you go. You're going to make mistakes. Life is not linear. It isn't perfect. There is no, same as parenting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But that's the continual learning and adapting that actually makes life interesting, right? It's in the mistakes we get better.
And you know what as well? As soon as you think to yourself,
I've cracked it.
I've got this figured out. I'm in my stride here.
Life's like, wait a minute.
And then the universe goes, there you go. I'll sprinkle some of that on you.
Now how well have you got it figured out?
Oh, hang on a minute. No. Yeah. No, I really don't. And then all the self-doubt creeps back in again and like, oh, no, I really don't have it figured out. Where am I going? Who am I? Do you know what I mean? That's normal. That's the journey, isn't it?
So you're now studying mental health diploma.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about why you've gone down that route? Because it must be like, is it 20 years now since you've been a coach, there or thereabouts, in the fitness industry?
I'm showing my age there, aren't I?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Since he was 3.
Yeah, I started when I was very, very young.
And
no,
obviously,
so it will be, yeah, it will be 20 years. I started when I was 18, and I'm soon to be 39. So qualified as a full-time PT at 24. So I've been around a bit. I'm built to last. Let's put it like that. I've done the seasons, and I've built it up progressively and steadily. And what I've noticed in that time is that I'm naturally swaying towards people that need a bit more help than just the physical stuff. And I'm quite intuitive as a coach. I identify that certain people need a bit more support emotionally than they do physically, because what do we know about emotional stress or extra baggage or self-doubt, or this is all mental stuff that we're talking about. Well, the physical body is not going to perform well if it's got burdened with stress or mental health problems or addiction or whatever it is. So I felt it were a natural route that I'm going to take. I've had my own struggles myself, which very open about talking about, and I found that I was getting a certain amount of clientele that needed that emotional support.
Yeah.
But equally, I'm not qualified in it.
Yeah. And
to some extent, it actually had an impact on me too. So I need to learn my own boundaries there as well. So that I'm safe, and I'm not going home and taking my work home, and I have a cut off point, and I'm not thinking about other people's problems when I lay down at night. So
because you cannot give what you haven't got,
exactly.
And if you're draining yourself,
that's it. And I do want to help more people, yes, but I equally need to know my limitations and boundaries. So having something to protect me as well as the client, that's going to form better relationships, and it's going to be something that I can do. I've got the long game in mind. I'm not going to set on a certain amount of people and then crash and burn, because you can do if you take on a lot of emotional baggage from other people. So
I also think this is great that you're doing this. I think more personal trainers should add this on to what they do, because I think ultimately what a lot of personal trainers do is only deal with a root of people's problem, and actually it's not the biggest root. In other words, if I need to lose body fat or I want to put on muscle, usually that comes from somewhere mentally. Whether it's an insecurity or there's some kind of mental and emotional trigger usually that's made me think I need a PT to get me in shape. If you can bring in that extra qualification, that extra understanding, you can actually deal with the root of it, which then ties into what you said about a consistent longevity of a healthy lifestyle rather than a quick win. The quick win comes from you haven't dealt with the root. Your mental and emotional health needs work way before we even get in the gym a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's been some sessions that I've done, within the last 12 months where it's been probably 50 minutes of talking, but that conversation has helped to shape a positive future for them with their physical health, if that makes sense.
It's far more beneficial than just lifting weights for an hour.
It's like, okay, have you done your program? Yeah, have you hit your macros and your calories? And it's like, well, if somebody's absolutely burdened to death with stress, that's the last thing that they want to do. But in order for us to get fit, strong, and healthy, we need to do that stuff. But there's a process in place that we need to, a protocol. And you've got to look after your mental health. It's so big now as well. There's a lot more people talking about it. Whereas for me now, I've always been like this. This is naturally me. I'm a deep thinker. I'm a deep kind of person. I'll talk about my emotions. I'll show my vulnerability, and I think it's important for us to share that. I've always naturally done it, and now more people are doing it. But now I feel like I need to have a qualification in it to solidify my work. So I think So it's a process that I felt were necessary at the start.
I agree. I think it's great, and I hope that, as I say, that more people are starting to add this on, because we know that mental and physical health are completely linked, and in order for you to give the best service, I think that you've always looked at both angles, but now it's just getting even better at being able to serve that at a higher level, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I will say that if there is anybody struggling out there, with their mental health, you must understand that your nutrition and your physical health will massively contribute to it. So you must take time out for that. You have to. So there has to be an element of exercise and good nutrition. Otherwise, you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to be well in your mental health. So everything's got its place.
As well, just to go down that route of rest, recovery, sleep. Like, we know this, people. Like, sleeping is good for you. And I think especially, obviously some of my audience is entrepreneurial, business owners, self-employed. We can get so stuck on those narratives, those quote-unquote Gary V narratives of hustle 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that hustle culture, that actually we're being so counterproductive because our mental and emotional state decreases, which means we're not as focused, our self-esteem's lower, we're not going to make as good decisions, therefore we can't grow a business. Like, everything suffers if you don't sleep. So it is about getting those foundations right. Your mental health, your physical health, sleep, rest, recovery, nutrition, all the things we've discussed today.
And the people that are in your life.
Oh, let's not go down that one. That's a big.
It's quite
basically, in a nutshell, get rid of that.
It's quite a factor though.
Yeah, it's massive.
Your environment is massive, and I won't go too far into it. But yeah,
that's another episode in its own. Okay, before we finish, COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-20, 20,000, however many COVID years we're going to have.
We're still here,
I think we're on variant 163. We're on the 99th vaccine booster 0.7. There's more vaccines than there is iPhones now. Obviously, you're a health professional. You spoke about it on this podcast. Your main purpose is helping people with their health. And we've had a health crisis. We've had a pandemic. I just want to get a little bit of, from a health perspective, what is some of your kind of advice and opinions and things that you want to get across when it comes to, I know there's a lot of fear still, there's a lot of confusion, and especially what's coming out with Boris and his cheese and his wine and his parties. There's we've lost a lot of trust in our government, and they're the ones actually advising us on our health, which personally I think is terrible. So I think we're better to get advice from you. Just wondering what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that, success leaves clues. So
look at Boris and look at Dan.
So let's look at let's look at things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. My messages and things may not resonate with you, but looking at people who have success within health and within nutrition and those sorts of things, and then make your own conclusions based on things like that, rather than having your hand tied behind your back and you must do this, otherwise you won't get this. Like, for me, when we talk about parenting, that's a bad style of parenting. And it's like, and I do the typical rebellious teenager of, no, don't tell me what to do, please. I'll make my own decisions. I don't want to go down a massive political route on this, but what I'd say is just be careful where you get your information from. Don't spend too much time on social media and getting into debates with people about it, I would say, because it's only going to increase your stress level, and we're all stressed enough. We don't need to keep doing that and causing arguments for argument's sake. The news and the statistics and all those sorts of things, I would try and steer clear of that and not look too far into it. Scaremongering and all that, it creates more fear, it creates more stress. The body will not thrive in a stressed environment. We've just been talking about that. So, it's all this marries up with it. So try and remove yourself emotionally from all this stuff and just fill your life with things that give you joy and give you purpose. Make you happy and make you work hard for something that you want to work hard for. Don't focus on the things that ultimately a world pandemic is something that's out of individuals' hands. There's nothing you can do about it. Just play the game, right? We're all in it together. Just do as you're told to a certain extent, like follow protocols and rules and listen, but then also use a bit of critical thinking as well.
I think that's the key phrase, critical thinking, not just taking surface level pieces of news and reporting and media actually apply a bit of critical thinking and asking better questions again, right? Go deeper on what you've just been fed and the narrative you've been fed. Think a bit more outside the box, think a bit deeper, and like you say, look at where you get your information from.
Yeah, of course. And then collectively put your jigsaw together then based on, you know, things that you've heard and things that other people have said and where this information is coming from. Then you try and make the best informed decision that you can. It's not to necessarily mean that you're going to get it right. I'm not sure if I've got it right the whole time, do you know, because we're learning as we go. This is a new thing that we've all had to live with on a business level, you know, professional levels and all that. There's protocols to follow. I'm in the healthcare industry. I have to be very careful about, you know, if I were to get COVID, well, I did at Christmas. You know, I were in contact with a few family members and a few friends that had COVID that didn't know. I got it. I wasn't poorly with it. I just had a you know, pretty ropey 48 hours. Didn't feel quite myself, but I wasn't too bad. I could have gone out. I would have done 5 years ago and not even known anything about it.
Based on the symptoms and how you felt.
Yeah, I've felt a lot worse in my life, let's put it like that. So
usually after a Saturday night. But
yeah, exactly. Usually a self-inflicted one. But yeah, you know, I would have gone about my business as normal. And what I want to say on that as well is just a bit of a heads up to people of be careful if you're doing a lot of lateral flow testing from home and things like that. I started looking a little bit further into that, and there is an ingredient on the packaging on the swab. So you take the swab.
Yeah. So
follow this now if you're listening, you're interested in this. Take the swab out. Have a look at the swab, and it says sterile EO. So if you were to say, let's say, put that in a Google, what is sterile EO? It means ethylene oxide. Okay, let's have a look at the impact of exposure to ethylene oxide. I'm not going to say too much because I've got little ears here too. Ain't good though, right? So we don't want to be doing this daily like some people are doing. You don't want to be doing it all the time. Sometimes it's important to know that we're not going to spread a virus. Yes, 100%. We have to be cautious, yes. But try not to be uber cautious of, I've got a bit of a headache and a bit of a sniffle. Have you got COVID? You better do a lateral flow. Like, exposure to certain chemicals are going to be harmful. If you, like I've always said, dosage.
Dosage is what kills you.
So if you were to have too much water, right, for a week, that's unhealthy. If you had too much of anything's bad. What I don't know is what dosage is going to potentially be harmful to the human body. I'm not sure.
But that's
I know,
something you're going to check out.
Yeah, I am. And I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that ethylene oxide isn't great.
To be sticking up your nose and in your throat.
You don't want to be putting that in your body too much. Let me put it like that. Right? I don't want to scare no one again. I don't want to be...
No.
But just look into it.
Again.
And then again, make an informed decision of, okay, I've got a headache and a sniffle. Does that warrant me having to do this for me to go to work or for me to take my kids to school? Do you know what I mean? Because unfortunately, COVID is here and it ain't going to go nowhere. Whether you're vaccinated or not, you'll still pass it on. So we've got to live with it, haven't we? We've got to create our own antibodies to put up with this and tolerate the resistance. If I were to... My first game of rugby that I played last year, felt like I'd been run over. By the
Twice.
Yeah, and then some.
Yeah, yeah.
By the fifth game, I wasn't too bad. I was kind of getting up in the morning and I'm thinking, well, I'm moving around all right here. I'm adapting.
You built up a resilience to it.
A kickboxer
yeah.
batters their shins. So they're building up resilience and a tolerance to something. So it's like anything. You've got to have antibodies and immunity to it. So you got to we're around it and we're going to have to be around it. It's how it is.
Just like any virus, right?
So there we go.
And I think the important thing you're saying there about, critical thinking, making sure you do your own research, and what you said there about the lateral flow test. Obviously, we don't know the dosage. That's something you want to do more research in and get more educated on. But ultimately, you think you're doing something to protect your health and protect other one's health, whereas if you're doing something too much to do that, you might actually be damaging your own health. So it's, again, finding your own balance based on your own research and what you think to be the healthiest, best life for you and your loved ones, right?
Exactly, and not just to be railroaded into, you must do this. It's like, well, look into this. What is it that I have to do? Why do I have to do what's in it?
Mm.
People want to know this about what supplements they're going to take. Well, what will protein do? Is too much whey protein bad for me? Could be. Depends how much you're having.
Cuz it's been a pleasure as always.
As always.
Thank you for being here. Before we leave, if anyone is new to you, how can they check you out? Where can they find you? Tell them a little bit about what you do and where they can get involved.
So I'm Dan Ramsden, believe it or not, on Facebook, and I am at Flight Coaching on Instagram. You'll find me on both social media platforms. That's pretty much where I do most of my posting. I'm building a really strong community, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the people that I'm working with and what they're doing and what they're overcoming. It's not just a quick fix. Like I say, I'm not about that. It's about people getting longevity to this and being stronger and fitter long term. You can check out some of my work on there and see if it resonates with you. I will have some online training coming shortly. I've started to collect some video content and some video footage will be released for online members. And that's me. That's where you'll find me. That's what I do. I'm sports related, nutrition related, mindset related. I can help people in many different ways, from getting fit to more flexible to training for an event or a sport. I'm passionate about all of it. Tell me which way you want to go and I'll take you down the right path.
There you go. Do check Dan out. And you answered the final question last time. I'm going to pose it to you again because it's been 7 months roughly since you were last on the show. And I think it is something that's ever evolving. It's something I know you and I are always kind of reflecting on. So the answer may or may not have changed. But the final question, as you know, because you helped develop this, that we ask all our guests is, Dan Ramsden, what is your definition of success?
To live your purpose and your passion. What lights you up inside? What excites you? What kind of people do you want in your life? And that's what success is. If you follow that path, it's whatever lights you up inside. Do that. The end. For now. Till you ask again.
And he might say, stop following your passion. It doesn't work.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
It is for me anyway. You?
Yeah, do that. Do what he said and we'll be good. Thank you very much, mate. Yo, there we go. I do hope you found that a useful episode. Thank you as always for being here. And I also want to say the year 2022 is the year that I am going to strive to take Rich in Success to whole new levels. We're going to aim to give you more value than ever before. We're going to make sure that we keep getting the very, very best guests that we possibly can that are going to give you the inspiration, motivation, and the education on how you can genuinely take your life to a whole new level this year. So please do make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Please do tell people about this podcast. And I hope to see you next week as the journey of self-discovery and personal development continues. I'll see you next time.